Chapter 12. An Unexpected Gift. The key to a successful life is trust life. That is the foundation of everything. To hope is to be open to surprise. If you trust life, it will surprise you, and it will always give you good things. Brother Steindl-Ross. About a month after the first anniversary of Emma's death, we were just hanging in there as a couple. We were still struggling with intimacy and expressing our emotions. The rawness of her death was still there. Our hearts had been torn apart. We seemed to be having this love-hate relationship. One minute we loved being together and the next minute we couldn't stand each other. The question you both need to ask yourselves as a couple is, do I want this to work? Because it's going to take work and it's not going to be easy. It requires patience and understanding when you really don't feel like it, and you will feel like giving up. You need to be really honest with each other. It is uncomfortable, but you need to have this conversation. We did. We had to remember why we got together in the first place. For me, Neil was my friend, and for him, he loved me. At the end of the day, we couldn't imagine not having each other in our life. So to make this relationship work, we had to put down some boundaries and accept that there would be new thoughts and feelings in our marriage that weren't previously there. You are allowed to ask for what you want in a relationship. I had a spiritual urge and Neil didn't. No one was right, no one was wrong. It was accepting what each other wanted and needed to have to move forward. What is a boundary? A boundary is a safeguard. Boundaries have a consequence. The purpose is to protect our joy and aliveness. We discussed the idea of having more children and being parents again. It was exciting but terrifying. We knew how fragile life was and wondered how we would cope as a couple if we went through another loss, as this was our reality. But in the words of Alfred Lord Tennyson, "'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." So we decided to try for another baby. As you know, one of the things that can consume you is the desperation of getting pregnant. There is all this focus on that critical time of the month when you're ovulating. Rather than going with the flow and making love when you feel like it, it was very mechanical. You were just trying to get the job done. This is where we were at. We seemed to be trying, but nothing was happening. So we made an appointment with our doctor. Quite simply, he advised us to stop trying so hard and start enjoying each other again. We are supposed to be making love. We're not love machines. We did, and Bob's your uncle, it happened. Pregnant. I had missed my period. My doctor's nurse took a pregnancy test, and at 7 weeks it was confirmed that we were going to be parents again. Woohoo! An appointment was scheduled to see the doctor again for when baby was 12 weeks. However, when I was 11 weeks pregnant, I discovered blood on my knickers after going to the bathroom. My heart literally sank. I started to think the worst. I found myself stuck to the toilet. I don't remember how long I sat there. My legs couldn't work or wouldn't work, and I found myself shaking and crying. Finally, I pulled myself together, told my boss what I'd discovered. She agreed that I should ring the doctor straight away. I managed to get an emergency appointment that day. I rang Neil and told him the news. He tried to sound positive, but I knew what he was thinking. Here we go again. As I lay on the examining table, my doctor examined my tummy. After asking a few questions and observing that I was looking worried, he decided to send me for an emergency scan. One of the questions he asked me again was, "Are you sure about your dates?" Talk about deja vu. That just about sent me into a spin. After examining me, he said he would ring the clinic to get an emergency scan to determine what was happening. I managed to get an appointment at the end of the day. I thanked him, explaining I just needed some reassurance to know one way or the other what was going on. If I was going to lose the baby, I needed to know today. I understand, he said. I rang Neil to let him know the outcome so he could meet me at the hospital. We sat in silence. It was that silence when nothing needed to be said. We were both thinking the same thing. Once I changed into my gown, I was called through to the room by the sonographer. Just pop on the bed and I'll have a look and see what's going on, she said. I lay there. I started shaking. Please let everything be okay, I was telling myself. I made eye contact with Neil. I could see that he was just as worried as I was. After a few minutes, the sonographer announced, I have scanned all the vitals and the babies are fine. There was stunned silence for a second. What did she say? I'm sorry, what did you say? I asked. She beamed at us, repeating, Yes, the babies are fine. There's nothing to worry about. The babies are fine? Sorry? Are you kidding me? I asked. She looked confused. You said babies, not baby. Are you having me on? No, we don't have people on about whether they are having twins or not. Oh my God, I started to cry while Neil was jumping up and down. We're going to have 2 babies, he exclaimed. 2! The sonographer was smiling at Neil's reaction. Then she looked at me with concern. Are you okay? She asked. Yes, but how am I supposed to feed 2 babies? I exclaimed. She just smiled and said, Oh, so the doctor didn't indicate to you that you might be pregnant with twins? I shook my head. No, the only thing he asked me was about my dates. Were my dates right? She explained that he'd asked me that question because when he examined me, he thought I was bigger than my expected dates. Relief poured over me. We were both very excited but nervous at the same time. I couldn't help but think about the twins that came through NICU when we were there with Emma. I knew there were a few extra things that could potentially go wrong when carrying twins, but I quickly reminded myself that there were also twins that were born perfectly healthy and without complications. If I was to enjoy this pregnancy, I had to be positive. I couldn't worry about the what-ifs, because when I did, it just left me feeling exhausted, depressed and weary. The twins needed me to be the best mum I could be, both physically and mentally. Emma will never be forgotten. The twins will learn about their big sister that they didn't get to meet yet.